And good evening, everybody. Welcome to Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land. I am Ethan Greenberg, along with my co-host, Mike Rasinski. We are a part of the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of the Fans First Sports Network. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Right before the show, the bombs were dropped. The dominoes started falling. Russell Wilson to the Giants. What do you make of that move? So the Giants now have a quarterback room of Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy Cutlets DeVito. And they're sitting at the number 3 pick right now in the upcoming draft here in just about a month.
Yeah, well, welcome everyone. Happy to be here, and that is some breaking news, especially when I clicked on the headlines and saw that it was for $21 million. Just for that fact alone, I am glad that the Browns passed on him. But you're right, this dealing has some direct effect with the Browns. The first being the draft. Does this mean that the Browns are going to draft a quarterback at number 2? Is the first question I have. And the second is there even a trade partner for the Browns if they wanted to trade down and try to work the secondary QB market? Because everybody thought maybe it'd be the Giants trading up. It certainly looks like they're not going to be doing that now.
Right. The only team I could see that might want to trade up is the Raiders from 6 to 2. But the price is going to be very, very steep to go from 6 to 2. And I'm thinking that's a problem. Taven, thank you for joining us. Our friend from Prospects of the Land, Russell Wilson to the Giants. Enjoy that. Have a good time. They're going to be at the top of the draft next year.
Yeah. And that's a really good point too, is like, who cares? It's Russell Wilson to the Giants. I mean, was he going to make that big of a difference for the Browns if we ended up signing him?
No, we didn't have, we knew that. I don't know who was delusional enough to think that he would play for the minimum amount to come here. We do not have the money. Okay. We do not have the money to pay a washed up has-been quarterback. Okay. And great. Travis Hunter to the Giants. Wonderful. Look what you did with Saquon Barkley. All right. There it is. Apparently it doesn't rule them out looking at a quarterback in the first round. Okay. That's a great idea. It doesn't rule out, let's see, the Steelers need a quarterback. So are they going to trade up? I would think that the Giants might be waiting till next year. But let's talk about what we're here to talk about, which is the Browns and what its impact is. As you said, in the draft, it kind of changes the perspective of whether or not the Browns are possibly going to trade back. If they had a trade partner, I think the price was going to be very high for someone to trade up to 1 or 2. It's very much looking like Cam Ward is going to go to the Titans. And my guess would be the Browns are going with Sanders, and they ain't rolling out Kenny Pickett to start the season.
No. So does this mean you sign Flacco and he starts the season, or does this mean you draft Sanders and you just let the rookie start?
I would say that it's a possibility you could sign someone like Flacco to have on the roster. It doesn't hurt. But I think you think they told Myles Garrett, hey, here's our plan. Kenny Pickett. You think he signed up for that? Heck no.
He's a Super Bowl champion. I don't know what you're talking about. And
hey, so is Trent Dilfer while we're at it.
This is true. That's true. Hey, all right, what about this? Aaron Rodgers isn't signed yet. Could the Browns steal him from the Steelers?
We do not have the money, okay? He isn't signing some minimum deal. He's going to the Steelers to ruin them like we talked about with Matt Fontana.
I could see a world where the Browns, Haslam being as desperate as he is, does something desperate yet again and figures out a way to sign Aaron Rodgers. Not saying that Aaron Rodgers would be good for the Browns because I think he's washed up too, but I could see another desperation move happening like this.
All right, Mike, now come on, man. He has to learn a lesson once, right? Finally?
When has he ever learned a lesson?
I don't know. I mean, like,
he's fighting the fans to move the Browns to Brook Park when most people don't want that.
Well, now wait a second. Where's that scientific data? Is that the 57% from Channel 19?
Yeah, from the Akron Beacon Journal.
The 57. Okay, are these 57% of the people? I'd like to know the error, the margin of error, and the people that were surveyed. Are those people who are regularly attending the games? I didn't see the poll.
Are you talking about alternative facts here, Ethan?
This is fake news, Mike. This is fake news. No, I don't know, but I look. It's you know what it is about? It's about the money. It's about
Yeah.
money, and Justin Bibb and wants to save face because he doesn't want to look like a clown show out there because they couldn't do squat with the lakefront and they have no plan. They have no plan for the lakefront. If that stadium is gone and they're a bunch of jackalopes, they've done this for 30 or 40 years or however long it's been, they have no plans. They're useless.
Yeah. So I don't disagree with you, but back to the quarterback talk.
Yes.
Do you think there could be a world in which this benefits the Browns, in which now, since the Giants may not trade up with the Browns, it makes a team further back in the draft, like you said, the Raiders, or I'll just say the Steelers, even though I don't think they'd make a deal with the Browns, to give up even more to come to number 2 to get a Sanders, knowing that there's no, legitimate quarterbacks left in free agency.
Right. I don't think I think that there is there were some connections that I had read about for the Saints, and I'll be darned whether it was Jackson Dart, possibly. I don't believe it was Quinn Ewers. I'm thinking that Dart was who I had read might be a possibility in New Orleans. Because they certainly need a quarterback. I don't see any veterans out there that are going to make any big difference anywhere. And their teams are going to reach. We chuckled last year with your father-in-law about the Broncos taking Bo Nix, but it's about having the right people, the right system for the specific player. And so far, 1 year in, Bo Nix and Sean Payton, what a match.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, what about the Colts at 14? They are in desperate need of a quarterback. Would they now feel desperate enough, because they're not going to re-sign Flacco, to trade up to number 2? And would we trade back to 14?
Now, did they not, and correct me if I'm wrong, did they not sign a free agent within the past couple of weeks? My brain is a little bit foggy on that. I wasn't thinking about this. This was such a spur of the moment thing that this all broke down. And I thought for some reason the Colts just signed a free agent. I know that Darnold went to Seattle.
Yep.
Geno Smith went to Las Vegas. So Vegas also may not be a candidate to move up in the draft.
They have Daniel Jones.
That's right. They just went all in on Daniel Jones. They got Jones and Richardson. They're going to be, you know what? Here it is. They are playing themselves right into Arch Manning.
Well, they'll be fighting with the Giants for him, I guess. And probably.
Yeah, I think they will, because that NFC East is very tough. It is a very, very tough division because you already have the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions. The Commanders are on their way up with Jaden Daniels. They're going to have a problem in New York, and they are going to be, not necessarily good. In Dallas, what are they doing? So, but I ain't getting into that, because you know what? We don't care about the NFC least. What we care about is our crappy Browns and the AFC North. Okay, so I'm going to answer this. So I think I want to answer Mike from the UK, Taven. Thank you, everybody who is joining us in. Mike's theory about if you trade and you get an extra pick and then you have more ammo for next year. Okay, let's say the team gets doesn't take a quarterback at the top of the draft. Let's say we take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter or somebody of that nature, or even an offensive line, and whatever it is, we trade back, flip-flop with somebody. But then we win about 6-7 games, and we would be picking maybe, I don't know, 10th. And the team that we traded with, let's say we do get next year, their first-round pick from the next year, but they're picking way back. They're picking up way higher, or we stay at 2 and don't draft a quarterback. What is it going to take to get to the top of the draft? And how many of the quarterbacks that we are thinking are going to be amazing in next year's draft are going to turn out to be big piles of hot, steamy dog do? Then what do
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah, I don't like that theory either, because you never know how the next year's draft class is going to turn out. You can project all you want, but it's too far away.
Right, because we all thought Quinn Ewers is going to be great. We all thought that who was the Carson Beck? He's back in college.
Yeah.
So no, do not miss your opportunity. Take a quarterback. Take a quarterback and roll with it. If we suck in 4 years, we suck in 4 years. I'm not going to risk not missing, be like, oh, I'm going to take this guy and get stuck with this second-hand quarterback that nobody else wanted and being mediocre. Find me a quarterback, okay? Okay, that's what I want, to find me a quarterback. And I do think that the way things are kind of falling, the chips are landing where they are. I would honestly believe that this sets up for the Browns to pick a quarterback at 2. It will likely be Sanders that is available after Ward goes, and then that you'll roll with him. They probably will pick up another quarterback to add to the room because you can't just have Kenny Pickett. You have to have another arm in there. Maybe we'll bring back Kellen Mond.
Flacco Fever.
Or Flacco. I'm fine with it. As we talked about, I wonder if he kind of reached that point where he was successful, and then it was like he turned back into a pumpkin. I'd take him. I like him. I enjoyed it. It was fun. We won.
Yeah.
It was good time.
Let's see what happens.
We shall see what happens. And so we are going to let that one simmer here a little bit. And I'm presuming in the next few days or by next week, we will have more to discuss on that. We are going to take a brief timeout here. You're tuned into Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land. And welcome back, everybody, to Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land. Ethan Greenberg here, along with Mike Rasinski. Sanders will be Winston 2.0. Oh, you said Sanders didn't throw that many interceptions, and he's not praying for God to deliver him from pick sixes either. All right, so we are doing a little bit of an abbreviated show here today. The Cavs are back in action tonight in Portland, Mike. They snapped the 4-game losing skid on Sunday. They beat down the Jazz, which they should have done, but it wasn't easy. It was a struggle at the outset. Kind of, where are you at with the Cavs right now?
Yeah, I'll tell you what surprised me the most, or what had me the most concerned, is just how bad Donovan Mitchell looked when he came back from his injury. We did a little stat digging, and I'm sure other people have found this too. But since since he's come back, what has it been? 5 games. He is shooting 31% overall and 14% from 3, and he has missed his last 13 3-pointers. So when you watch him, you do the eye test, you look like it's supposedly a groin injury, but he's moving fine, but his shots are not falling. And when he's taking the volume of shots that he's taking and he's not making them, I think, that's the difference a lot in why they've lost those last 4 games. He's going to be sitting tonight for injury management. So we'll see how they play without him, with somebody else taking the shots that he would normally take. And hopefully this will help him get better, because I have to think that that's affecting him somehow, this groin injury.
Well, sure. You shoot with your legs.
Mm-hmm.
You move. It's going to affect your overall position. And it's been worse. I think I heard Brian Windhurst this morning, and he was talking about that it actually, if you look further back than even before this groin issue, the shooting percentage has been way down, both he and Garland. And he even mentioned that essentially there was a period where the Cavs had multiple players shooting 40% or better from beyond the 3-point arc. And basically, to steal and use the terminology in line that everyone's using, it's true. They've regressed to the mean.
Yeah.
They've simply regressed to the mean. And now I find that the issue, or where I was a little bit perturbed, was the apparent lack of effort on the glass.
Yep.
Lackadaisical play leading to turnovers like in the Orlando game. Give me the effort, the defense. You can't let DeMar DeRozan tear you apart in Sacramento when they're without Domantas Sabonis. What the heck is that? I get the Clippers. They're pretty good. They're all right, but you got killed on the glass. Mobley and Allen did nothing. Then you go to Sacramento. Or I'm trying to think. I can't even keep track of the losses. I was so upset about it. Phoenix. What were we doing in Phoenix? Sacramento. Unreal. Unreal. But they need to get back on track. I'm a little bit concerned because the magic number is 7. Boston is hot on our tail. This was discussed. You and I were on this. I got to tell you, Mike, we were all over this. We were discussing this, and then boom, I'm listening to our guy, Brian. He's saying the same thing we're looking at. Before last night, our remaining schedule, the Cavs, is a combined 410 and 366. Boston's 335 and 442. Cleveland has a much tougher road ahead to try to close this thing out. And my thought is you need to win a couple games here. Shift the pressure back to Boston to where they feel we are not going to catch them. Let's rest some guys, considering Jason Tatum might be missing some time after he landed on Sabonis's foot last night in a win over Sacramento. Does that jive to your thought process?
Yeah, and speaking first of that possible Tatum injury, I think that is the main difference between the Cavs and the Celtics too right now, where the Cavs, with their depth, I think could absorb an injury, and they've done it already this year. Some of their main guys sitting, and still be competitive. Where Boston, great team, but they rely so much on Tatum that if he goes down, I think that is going to affect him. And I could totally see a world, like you said, where they sit him, get him ready for the playoffs. And I do think it is extremely important that the Cavs get the number 1 seed, at least in the East. So, like you said, magic number is 7. They have 6 home games remaining. Boston, like you said, a much easier schedule. They still have to play New York. They still have to play Memphis. They still have to play Orlando, and Phoenix and Miami. So there's still some tough games. I could see them dropping 1 or 2, which means we have to win 5 or 6, and we have those 6 home games remaining. So it's possible. I would like to see what you said happen, where they just kind of give up and say, let's rest and get ready for the playoffs. And then that allows us to I wouldn't say take the foot off the gas, but at least you're assured then of the number 1 seed, and you can do some other things with that.
When we were in the LeBron years, the second time around, you didn't worry about home court. I feel like Boston potentially could be sitting in that type of position where they say to themselves, we are a veteran team. We are the defending champions. We do not need home court advantage. The Cavs, I would say, need the energy of Rocket Arena. They need the home fans to help lift them up more so than a team such as Boston. That's why I think it's imperative that the Cavs at least lock up the number 1 seed in the East, because playing 4 out of 7 potentially in a Boston would be very, very challenging. They've locked up either a 1 or the 2 seed. Mm-hmm. So a 7 is the magic number. What combinations of wins and losses? Certainly San Antonio, they've got a decent record, but being without Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox, they have not their capabilities and their strength has been lessened. Chicago's playing tough. Indiana has been a tough matchup for us. And so we've got 2 against New York, 2 against Indiana, 2 against San Antonio. I really think you got to take care of the San Antonio games. If you can get this Portland win, that's 3. The Detroit game's going to be tough. It's at
Yeah.
Detroit again.
It will be.
So,
And they're
bottom
coming.
line, Cavs need to get this together. And as I think we would agree, and as Mike said, it starts on the defensive end.
Yeah. Well, and then let's not overlook the fact that they still could get the number 1 overall seed too. Another 2 games behind
Right.
Oklahoma right now. But Oklahoma, they've got a fairly tough remaining schedule too. They have to play Sacramento, Memphis, the Lakers twice, Houston, Detroit, and they're at Phoenix as well. So you never know how that could turn out. And I did not realize this until I was looking at their schedule. You know, the only East team to beat them has been the Cavs.
Yes, I did just I had heard that recently. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I totally overlooked that stat until just now. That is pretty amazing, actually.
It is, and you're right. They do have a tough road ahead as well. So we shouldn't say give up on that either. I just want to see I think if they play their game and do the little things, starting with effort on the glass.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be lackadaisical with turnovers. You're going to be all right, because even if the shots aren't falling at a 40% clip from beyond the 3-point arc, you've still got Mobley and Allen. And if they're rebounding and you're taking advantage of those guys inside, you're going to be all right, in my opinion. Maybe it's a hope. I'm not sure. Hope is not a strategy.
But they've found different ways to win in the past, and I think they need to do that again too. Like you said, if the 3-point shots aren't falling, go inside to your 2 big men. You know, take the mid-range jumpers that Garland and Ty Jerome are so good at. Play better defense, win that way. And they've done that in the past. They've shown they can do that.
Right. Why is this so? Okay, Mike, I saw the excuses I saw for why the Cavs were losing. Complacency, that's a mental problem. Tired. It's still an 82-game season. That hasn't changed. Guys we used to watch, there were no rest days. You didn't have load management. You played. Don't give me this I'm tired crap. Get out of here with that, okay? Just get out of here with that. Oh, it's the West Coast trip. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. These are all excuses.
Yes.
They might have a little bit of validity, but it's only a teeny tiny bit. Enough. Cut the crap, play, win the games. Get your butt going. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, I guess I'm glad we're only complaining about a 4-game losing streak, and that is like the longest streak they've had all year too, which does just show how amazing of a season this has been too.
It is. It really is. And it's kind of like last year watching the Guardians.
Yes.
And the few times we started going, oh God, and they kept it going all season long. I can't believe they start the season this week.
Yes. I can't wait to get into some Guardians talk next week.
Yes, definitely. They get that brutal road trip to start the season again. Last year it was supposed to be a 10-game trip, shortened by 1 because of a game postponed in Minnesota. But they went 7-2 in the first 9 games on the road, and that catapulted them. It just kept the momentum going all season long. And this year we've got a 9-game road trip right out of the gates. It's going to be, it certainly will be challenging. Who do we have? We got Kansas City. Then we go to the Angels, and then and then the Padres. Padres are going to be tough.
Mm-hmm. Kansas City will too.
Definitely. And I know you'll hear it from your in-laws as well.
Yes.
Yes, they will. All right. So I know, again, we're a little bit short on time tonight, but look, as Kent State folk, we got to talk some Kent State.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the Kent State Golden Flashes and NIT madness, baby.
I think they are the last Division I men's Ohio team to still be playing basketball.
You are correct, sir. Well, no, wait a second. Cleveland State is in the CBI.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected.
Yes, Cleveland State is still alive in the CBI. They won, I believe, last night. But I know that the NIT isn't what it used to be. If you recall, back in the day, the NIT was actually bigger than the NCAA tournament. And obviously that changed and switched and such. But the fact that Kent State is on the verge, they are in the quarterfinals. That was a huge win out at Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, Stanford's not the best, but they're still a power part of, they're part of the ACC now. That's so strange. Formerly the Pac-12, but they're a power conference team. Where Kent State is a mid-major, and they went out there and they won. They didn't let what I can't even remember. I think they're large, they're tall. Big is like some French guy. I don't know how tall he is, but we didn't get beat by him. I was impressed. Sullinger, 34, career high. I mean, the final score was a lot closer than the game really was.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you finding just watching this team that could have just been happy saying, we lost in the tournament, in the conference tournament. We're not in the NCAA. Oh, well, boo-hoo.
Yeah, and the fact that both of their wins against St. Bonaventure and Stanford have been on the road too. And those are not easy road trips, to go to. You're flying from one part of the country to the other side of the country. And now tomorrow they're going to be playing in Chicago when they play Loyola. So again, on the road. But just like you said, they, disappointing end to the MAC tournament. But then to go out and just to have this success too, essentially the Elite Eight of the NIT. And you never know, like these younger players are getting a taste of some tournament basketball. And, hopefully this breeds some confidence for them for next year too. It seems like whenever they make the tournament in the past too, they've had successful follow-on seasons. So that'd be great to see this build into something for next year.
It sure would. As you and I had chatted about, 99, they make their first ever NCAA tournament. They get knocked out of the MAC tournament the following year, go to the NIT. They reach the semifinals, lost to Penn State they went to the quarterfinals, lost to Penn State in the quarterfinals. The next year, they get their first ever NCAA win, lose in the second round. And the year after that is when they made their run to the Elite Eight. More recently, they did have another run to the quarterfinals in which they lost as well. Actually, kind of funny enough, Mike, as I discovered, both times that they've lost in the quarterfinals in 2000 and in 2011, the final score, 81-74. They lost to Penn State, then they lost to Colorado. Let's not make it a third time. Loyola kind of has followed in the path of Kent State. They've been a fantastic story, a Cinderella Final Four in 2018 as an 11 seed. Kent was one win away from making the Final Four as a 10 seed.
Mm-hmm.
But they have done very, very well. Are you more worried about Loyola Chicago, the team, or Sister Jean?
Yeah, well, I guess how can you not be worried about Sister Jean?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know we're going to have to watch out for Jaden Dawson, their 6'4" tall junior guard. He put in 35 in their upset win at San Francisco. So we will be looking forward to that tomorrow night. And we'll have to bring it on back next week and kind of recap what happens there, recap what happens further in the NFL moves. The Guardians will be underway. It will be a lot to cover. So again, sorry, folks, it's going to be a little bit of an abbreviated show. Mike, do you have anything that has you going nuclear this week?
Just to stay on the same theme, can I say that like how Stanford's in the ACC just has me going nuclear? That is just dumb. It's stupid, and I hate conference realignment. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
And and money. Amazing how money is ruining college sports. It started with this NIL deal a few years ago. The NIL is ruining college sports. Conference realignment's ruining college sports. So that's what has me going nuclear tonight.
Yeah, I feel bad for the athletes that they were so limited in. They weren't even allowed to work and all that kind of nonsense. And then it was these archaic rules with you can have a bagel, but you can't have a bagel with cream cheese. or so,
Right.
whatever that was. I think that was a UConn player talking about that years ago.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, but it's gone to the opposite end of the spectrum. That is also problematic, like you said. Well, what has me going nuclear, Mike, is people who decide to post a bunch of crap on social media and it gets picked up and creates a media frenzy, and it's not verifiable, and arguably most of the times it's actually false. It's not even something out of context. As you might have seen yesterday, there was a post by someone who said they were at this conference, a business conference, and I think it was called ProMate, if I looked it up correctly. But Deion Sanders was there, and somebody asked in the crowd, "Oh, where do you hope Shador ends up?" Well, we hope he ends up in New York as a Giant. And today, and again, there was no video of it other than a still photo posted of Deion. There was no video of it. And today, Deion responded and said, "That's a lie. That's a lie." So, what has me going nuclear again is people who love to post a bunch of hot, flaming dog poop and stir up all this crap because you have to wait to be able to try to verify it or refute it. And in the meantime, everybody loses their minds. Everybody absolutely loses their minds. And that kind of stuff has me going nuclear. And yes, Mike, that was, in fact, BS. And Nolan Jones' breakout season, we shall see. And we will talk about that and all of the Guardians news on our next episode. So, once again, folks, appreciate. Oh, yes, Brown's Twitter is a dumpster fire. And you know what else is a dumpster fire? The quarterback room in Pittsburgh and the New York Giants. Thank you.
and the Cleveland Browns.
Okay, yeah. No, Mike, you got me there. I'm not going to lie. I know that we are, in fact, a dumpster fire here. But yes, once again, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you all commenting and being here along with us. Going nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land. We are a part of the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of Fans First Sports Network. You can find us here on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and other social media. And you can listen to us on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. I just learned you could go to the Odyssey podcast platform. Look under Cleveland Browns. You'll find the Fanatical Elves Network. You'll see all the great programming there. You can go to the Fans First website. You can go to Spotify. You can go to your Apple Music and find us on your podcast there. But again, thank you so much for everybody who has joined in tonight. And yes, we will have to wonder about the 2026 quarterback room, but we will have to get to that next time. So, Mike, thank you very much, as always.
Thank you.
So, for Mike Rasinski, I'm Ethan Greenberg, and you have been tuned in to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land.